Folks, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show. Back in Tucson after an amazing 2-week run on the East Coast, and so delighted to be joined by a multidimensional artist, director, sonic expander, and yogini, Jess Holzworth. Welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Thank you, Jake, for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Did you, in any of your artistic passions, mainly we can start with the sonic part, was there a defining moment when was there a sign that drew you to it early on?
I don't remember the first sign, but I first got into yoga, and I think I was always drawn to sound, and anytime I would see somebody playing Tibetan bowls, they're the metal bowls, not the crystal bowls, I was really fascinated, and I remember Googling a lot, like looking up, could you train or like study this? I think there's a place in Encinitas, outside of San Diego. And then there's a woman where I work, Pam Lancaster. She's been doing it for 19 years. I was even like, can I be her protege? Like, it's just something that I wanted to do. I don't really know where it came from. And then I found a training in Scottsdale at Anahata. And the first weekend was the crystal bowls, and then the second weekend was the gong. And then I think 2 months later, I bought a gong.
You know, I'm curious about how you think, as in the world paradigm that we live in now, if we in fact have become disconnected from the body, and how to talk to the peeps around the world about what you do on a daily basis, not just for yourself but with your clients, how you reconnect them to the physical.
Well, that's an interesting question. I remember the first time that I started thinking about, actually it was pre-yoga training. I was telling my friend, Sarah Johnson, I think you might know her.
I love Sarah. She'll be tuning in later.
That I was feeling like I wanted to connect to my body, but I couldn't intellectualize that. It was just this, my intuition. And then when I went to study yoga, it all made sense. In hindsight, yoga is a very grounding practice. And yes, I wouldn't say everybody's disconnected, but I think as the technological revolution, I'm not saying that technology is bad. I use it every day. There's many benefits to it. But people are on their phones more, they're staring at computers more instead of staring into people's eyes more.
So it's only a tool, but I mean, like, how? So when you say that it made sense to you in hindsight, can you unpack how it made sense to you?
Because yoga is a connection of moving your body. I truly believe that the subconscious stores habits and patterns, and our bodies can store emotions, and that's why dance, song, yoga are so good for releasing and awakening and healing and transforming. So is sound. I can't really explain it, I guess, until you practice yoga that you know the experience of it. Just stretch it. I mean, it's common sense though. Stretching your body, moving your body, it makes you feel better.
Is there more than one way to to get into a yogic state, though? I mean, the idea that the Western mentality of the Indian style, or the stretching, or in this sort of, I don't know what the right word is, sedentary position. I mean, I would argue that playing drums puts me in a yogic state. I mean, do you have to be in a still or stretching position?
I think if you're gonna do it, if you prescribe to the yogic lineage, I mean, there's 8 limbs to yoga, so it's not
8 limbs. Can we break the 8 limbs down?
I can bring a couple.
I mean, break down your favorite limbs, all right?
Well, the first ones are the yamas and the niyamas, so they're like principles. So there's 10 of them. You start with that. Non-violence, truthfulness, and the list goes on. And then you have asana, which is the 3rd limb, which is the yoga poses. And then the 4th limb, which is so important to the practice, is pranayama. And then it goes on.
For the lay people, they're asking questions. What is pranayama?
Pranayama is breath work, breath exercises, and I find it fascinating that 4,000 years ago, the yogis were talking about the power of breath. And breath is a science. It's not something woo-woo. Breath has a direct effect on your nervous system. We have two parts to the nervous system, the sympathetic branch and the parasympathetic branch. Breath is a sedative for the sympathetic branch, which is fight or flight, which when you ask me that question about being disconnected, yes, most people, the majority of people live sympathetic dominant. So they're in this altered state of stress. We want to be living parasympathetic dominant, which is rested, rejuvenated, relaxed, restored. There's a vagus nerve in our body, most important nerve associated with the parasympathetic nervous
Dude,
system.
we're getting so deep in the weeds right now. Unbelievable.
Well, geez, it goes deep. So the vagus nerve, when it's stimulated, and yoga actually stimulates it too, it sends a signal up to our brain and it tells it to relax. It brings us into the state of self-regulation, which it can be called homeostasis. So it's a balance act between interdependent components. Sound does the same thing.
When did you get in touch with your breath? I mean, when did you need it in order for salvation? I mean, when did it dawn on you that it was crucial for survival for Jess?
Well, I think when I started studying yoga and these things come to your attention, like pranayama, you become more aware of it. It's counterintuitive to think about breathing. It's like, what, I'm breathing, right? And the majority of us walk around as unconscious breathers. But a great habit to get into is daily conscious breathing. Just hold your hand on your belly, connect to your breath, and breathe deep, steady, and slow.
Can you personalize it? I mean, can you talk about a time in your life when you relied on it in order to keep your sanity?
I rely on it every day, my breath. But if there was a catastrophe in my life that I tuned into my breath, no, I do not have an experience like that.
Really?
No.
It's interesting. I mean, sometimes within the adversity is when you have to rely on the simplest things.
I know. I'd like to debunk that myth. I have found other people ask me that, you should meditate if you're getting divorced or you're going through some kind of experience that's not pleasant, or get into yoga. I actually don't think that's the case. I know a lot of people do get into it. It's kind of like a...
Why don't you think it's the case?
Because I think that it's actually a lifestyle of awareness and consciousness.
I dig.
And it's a choice. So it's not about, I'm suffering, I'm going to do some yoga. It's like, I'm going to do some yoga because yoga makes me feel more balanced. It makes me feel more grounded. It makes me feel more clear. It makes me feel less stressed. There's many benefits to the practice.
Aside from yoga, I mean, how did you get into film directing? More specifically, music films.
I was a music.
I mean, you're a doc freak. You're a doc freak, and you're a music freak, doc freak. But I mean,
it's a funny story. I was actually making artwork. I was doing collage work, and I was working for this Japanese company, Zuka. They're really great. They love avant-garde artists. So I did work for them for about a year, doing all these projects. They have a boutique in Paris, and my artwork was the whole window in the store.
What made it avant-garde?
They liked avant-garde art.
I know that, but what was avant-garde about your art?
About my art?
Was it the collage art you were showing me earlier?
That's for you to label. I don't know if I would label my artwork avant-garde.
So they thought it was. Yeah.
Maybe like artists outside of the box. That's a trick question.
So they had it in the window.
So they had it in the window, and the musician Beck walked into the store because he wore their suits because he's petite, and they fit them. But it's a really amazing clothing company. So he saw my artwork, and he told me that he thought this would make an amazing video. So his company or his management wrote to me, and I literally, that's when, Yahoo was going into Gmail, and I hadn't checked my email for 2 weeks because I was...
Google was going into Gmail.
Yeah, well, I had Yahoo, and I was closing that out.
Dig.
But I'd opened my Gmail account. So So I saw this, I just was checking it as it was petering out, and then there was an email, and it said Beck.
From Beck.
And I went to delete it, and I was like, wait a minute, because my friend Dorian had actually worked for Beck, and I thought, well, maybe, I don't know. So I opened it, it said, hi, this is Beck's management. We would like you to make a video. So then I was like, whoa, I've never done this before. But I have friends in the industry. I have actress friends, and I have writer friends, and I have other director friends. And so I called them. And then Bryce, he's a screenwriter, Bryce Cass, hooked me up with this producer in LA, Paul Hahn. He runs Daft Arts, and they produced it for me. So Daft Arts is Daft Punk.
So but it was your art that was used in the film.
Yeah, and I worked with a French animation team.
Wow.
And it was wild. You'd walk in a room and they'd be like, pick this color or these lips or these eyes. And it took 6 weeks. It was an amazing experience. And then we filmed on green screen, and we filmed at the original Charlie Chaplin studios from the 30s on La Brea and Sunset.
Ah, that is unbelievable. Some great clubs down there too.
And then that just kind of opened up the doors. I guess the video came out kind of good.
I mean, what is your message to people about longevity is the wrong, stick-to-itiveness, fortitude? I mean, you seem to have your hand in many different cookie jars, and in a lot of sort of, you have to be secure in yourself, and you have to be able to get outside of yourself. So what would be your message to peeps out there that are struggling, trying to micromanage or dealing with the emotional parts of these artistic fields?
Well, one, I would say listen. That's what these practices like yoga and meditation are so great. You really have to listen.
What does that mean?
Listen to your intuition, not hear. Because the mind, that's something I've been studying lately. The mind tells you false shit.
Absolutely.
Listen to hear. And there's studies coming out that intuition is a higher intelligence than what's up here, the intellectual. Well, there's two sides to the brain. You have the left side, which is analyzing, planning, doing, and then you have the right side, which is intuition, creativity, and just being. This is where we go when we come into meditation, the right side. Meditation takes us from seeing to being. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent. I would say listen, what is that voice inside of you telling you? And even if your mind says, that's a crazy ass thought, still listen, and especially if it keeps coming up.
Can you give an example?
Say you want to move to Africa and help with the water system, and then your mind says, Africa, that's so far away. I'm nuts. That's an example.
No, an example in your life when you said that's crazy, but I'm going to do it.
When I studied yoga, I was like, what?
So where were you at before then, and you thought that was a crazy idea?
I was a music video director, and then if you would have told me 10 years ago in my life I'd be teaching yoga and meditation and playing the gong, I really would go,
That you say you're freaking crazy.
Yeah.
But okay, so that's fantastic. And
even though in my artwork I feel I was kind of predisposed to spirituality and stuff, so it was always kind of there. I was raised with it. But back to the question. Listen
to go in your soul, dropping to your soul.
Yeah, what feeds your spirit? Listen to your intuition. And you know what's so important? Keep trying. Even if you failed, even if there's always going to be naysayers. There's always going to be people to say, you can't do this, get back up and do it. I mean, that's such a lesson. Keep applying, keep studying, keep pursuing your dreams, and what's in there is so important because people give up too easily, and you have to keep trying.
Did people try to bully you off the yoga bandstand, so to speak?
I don't think no. I mean, no, not yoga, but I'm sure people were like, "What's she doing?
What is she doing?" Because
Yeah.
she's a dead. She loves the Grateful Dead. She loves metal.
Yeah.
Where were you at before that?
They have doom metal in town, by the way. Doom metal yoga.
Wow, that doesn't sound very.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Well, doom is very drony.
so. In terms of what you try to accomplish with your clients, what are your intentions when you teach?
My intention is to be authentic, not some contrived person that's coming with some fake shit. Not that I'm saying other people do that. I'm just saying that's what I want to be 100% authentic. And what that means is that I hope I'm speaking from my heart, even if I'm on autopilot teaching, because I teach a lot of yoga and meditation. So just keep it real is a big priority for me. And God, I want to create a warm space where people can just be themselves and be free. And, we get so constricted from all these external rhythms outside of us that move much faster than these natural and internal rhythms, and we lose touch with our inner nature. So when people can come down into that parasympathetic nervous system, it's a sense of relief.
Just for the layperson, because we're getting some questions, parasympathetic versus sympathetic. Where's the dividing line there?
So sympathetic is fight or flight response.
I've heard that before. Fight or flight. Just
fight or flight.
Meaning in your personal life, or you're just in everything you do, or what is it?
Say somebody it's the person driving in the car, beeping their horn, just a little not even little.
Hyperreactive.
Hyperreactive. Thank you, Jake. Yes. Sympathetic is rested, rejuvenated, relaxed, restored. We want to be living our life parasympathetic dominant. It's better for our health on a cellular level.
Do you still, a lot of musicians that I interview, the key really is finding your own truth and ultimately being able to express that truth on the bandstand, be it in front of 3 people or 30,000 people. But, individual sound used to be very vogue at a certain time. It used to be good to have your own sound. Some would argue that there's a homogenization of sound, especially in popular music. We go back to, you're getting requests to take your shades off, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I love it because we went through this, but it's all good. She looks great. But do you think you're still finding your own voice in yoga? You say you want to create a warm space or a heart space, but is that what is unique to you? What do people come up to you and say, boy, that was something that I've never experienced before, even if it was a feeling?
I don't know if that's the case, because it's people may like your class, they may not. I don't think I get caught up in that too much. I think we're always evolving as a human being, and there's lesson after lesson after lesson. And yes, am I in unfolding? Absolutely. Where it's ultimately going to take me, I don't know, but I'm open. My intention mantra daily is I'm supported, I'm aligned, I'm attuned.
Where were you at when you first started yoga? Totally folded up?
Folded up? What do you mean?
Well, you said you're in an unfolding right now.
Folded up. I wouldn't say I was folded up.
You were constricted in some. I'm just saying, where are you at right now in the lineage, in the timeline?
I've definitely I think we all have our own evolution.
That's the word I was looking for.
We have our own perspective shifts. We have our own expansion. Have I gone into a new chapter of expansion? Absolutely, yes. The yoga journey started. Do you want to hear the story?
People want to hear it.
All right, so
you're talking to the world.
Okay, hey world.
Yeah.
So I used to drink a lot of alcohol, and it became a habit, and it just got tired, and I used to drink a lot of wine, and I had fun.
That's great.
I woke up one morning, and I literally put my hand on my forehead, and I just said the first thing was when's it going to stop? And that back to that conversation I had about wanting to connect to my body. So these are things my intuition were just naturally telling me. I want to connect to my body. I want to move into a healthier lifestyle, basically, is what the gist of when's this going to stop. I used to drive an old Mercedes, 72, and I had to take it into the shop, and I popped the trunk, I put my bike in, because it was across town but not too far, I could ride my bike home. Couldn't get the bike up, got pissed, finally got it up, Drop the car. Long story short, riding through the desert, all clouds. I think it was in the month of May. And I was looking up at the sky and I heard a voice that said, shift the paradigm. And I was like, shift the what?
This is what I'm talking about. This is where the rubber meets the road.
And
You heard that that's your sign.
Yes, and it said, shift the paradigm. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And the voice said, yes, you do. So I walked into my front door. I opened my computer and I typed in shift the paradigm. And Louise Hay came up and Bob Proctor. And I literally watched that all day. And I didn't drink alcohol for like 6 months, and I started practicing yoga. And then I fell in love with yoga. I came out of a yoga class. I literally had this moment, how can I marry this? Like, where's the contract? Because I want this to be a part of my life for the rest of my life. And that started my journey on the yoga path.
What are you... We live in a time where leadership in many areas is lacking. In fact, it's almost non-existent. What do you think the strongest forms of leadership are in your mind? Whether you're directing a music film with the Black Bananas, whether you're doing a yoga class, what is leadership, Jess Holzworth?
God, that's a good question. You know, I saw on Instagram Beyonce, her mom, Tina Lawson, she once wrote this post about leadership, and it was so
What did she say?
God, I can't
We're going to have to get it
remember.
going. But hey, Beyonce's great. I've never had a Beyonce reference on the Jake Feinberg show. Yeah, go ahead.
Her mother, Tina Lawson, I mean, she raised 2 powerful daughters. I mean, it all came from her. She's a powerful woman.
Well, what does Jess say?
I would say lead by example, like walk the walk. Be human. I think be vulnerable, but be courageous. Be innovative. Have ideas. And then support your crew, your team, or people that think of you as a leader, for them to grow. I think that's actually the most powerful thing a leader can do. Hold space for other people to evolve, to be leaders too.
I mean, again, can you personalize it? I mean, these are platitudes in some ways. I mean, I dig it. But I mean, what have you done? What have you done creatively to expand other people to become? I know exactly what you're talking about.
I don't know if I could answer that because I'm too humble to say, oh,
Well, no,
I
but
do
we're-
this
yeah.
to like inspire people. I can't go there personally.
Right, but you understand when you're giving that answer that it would help more.
I would hope that I could inspire people at the end of the day to think outside the box and not follow all the rules, because a lot of it is lies, if not all of it.
What are the lies?
Lies about the food they feed us, lies about the products, lies about the life we're supposed to live, lies about the way we're supposed to look, lies about how much money you make a year. It's all a lot of lies.
What's your concept of love?
Oh, my concept of love, acceptance, space. Space is my concept of love. Acceptance, nurturing, support, emotional support is a big part of love. Because you can be friends with people, but do you really support those people on an emotional level through the good and the bad? But you do have to have a little bit of discernment in there. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. No, you're nailing it.
Yeah.
It's the fine line between unconditional and discernment.
Yes.
And that's a fine line to cut. Did you learn some of these things
Yes.
on the? Go ahead. Yeah. I mean, I was going to say in the parking lots of the metal shows or even the Dead shows.
I didn't
There was a
learn-
lot of there was no doubt there was a lot of love in Charlotte, North Carolina, in '91 when you were
I
there.
didn't learn that at the Dead shows. I was on acid, having fun, I was trying to get into the 8th limb of yoga, samadhi, enlightenment.
Samadhi on the 8th limb.
I wasn't trying to like think about stuff.
But in hindsight, again, I don't like to dwell on that, but can you look back and say that that your ego was deflated after you doing a lot of LSD?
No, I didn't do that much LSD, and it never deflated my ego.
Okay, so
It just opened my mind. I never liked mushrooms, though. I did them once, and I freaked out. But acid I did a handful of times, but I didn't. I mean, I think maybe 10 times. But it always just, I was young. It really opened my mind.
I'd like you to just, tomorrow is Father's Day, and I wanted you to give a message to, you were raised by your stepfather and your mom in West Virginia, and your biological dad is in New Jersey, but I'd like you to give a message to them as we round this out. I just want to say you went to the Intergalactic on that gong solo, and mad props to you, Jess Holzworth. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Happy Father's
Give a
Day.
message to your fathers.
So both my dads are named Tom.
Wow.
One is Tommy, the other one is Tom. Two different types of men, but my mom married two Toms. I love them both. I feel blessed to have two fathers. Some people don't even have one dad. I've been blessed to have two strong men, self-made men. My real dad is like tough, New Jersey. My stepdad is, he's a doctor, a humanitarian. I just feel blessed. I love you. That's all I could say. Thank you for everything that you've given me.
And they protected you. They always took care of you.
Yes.
No, it's a beautiful experience. This is just part one of our collaboration. But Jess Holzworth, thank you so much for inspiring people and continued success on your journey to space, because space is the place.
Thank you, Jake, and thank you everybody that tuned in, dropped in.
Tune out.
Thank you.
This is the Jake Feinberg Show.
Namaste.
We'll see you later.